liver damage, permanent liver damage. And in just 6 months of working with ayahuasca, my fatty liver is completely healed. I mean, there's no liver fat anymore. And then the doctor, he was surprised, and he asked me, "Hey man, what is it that you're doing?" I mean, because whatever it is that you're doing, it was supposed to take like 1 year for me to recover, and then I recovered in 6 months or less. I have a long history of depression and anxiety and dealing with all sorts of problems, just like most of people nowadays, to be honest, right? I mean, this doesn't make anyone special because it seems like everyone's struggling somehow. But what's really fascinating for me is that there's all of these beautiful medicines. It's a gift from God, really, and so little people have access to this. And I think it's a real pity, man. I see all the transformations that it's been doing in my life and in the life of people that I know, and it's really sad that it's so restricted. Hopefully it's changing. I see more and more people getting in touch with these kinds of medicines, and well, perhaps the world becomes better, at least for some people. Maybe little by little, story by story, the world becomes a better place.
I hope so. Tell me about
Yeah.
life before plant medicine.
Ah, man, life before plant medicine was wild. I mean, I was really a very shy kid. I was always insecure, always trying to please everyone. And well, this has a lot to do with the way that I was raised. I was born in the 80s, and well, in 86 actually. And then I grew up in the 90s, and man, parents were harsh back then, mainly in Brazil here, I guess. I don't know how it was up there in the United States or Canada, but in Brazil, it was pretty tough, man. I mean, the spankings were the norm back then, and it would only take a stern look from your father or your mother, and you would know that you messed up. And we didn't have a lot of space to really explore our personalities, the way we used to, you know, uh, venture into the world. It was very rigid, no flexibility. And then I I learned to incorporate this in my life. I was always trying to please my parents and do the right things, say the right things. And on top of that, I learned like 2 years ago, 1 year and a half ago, that I am autistic. I was late diagnosed, and well, this explains a lot. Uh, Everything becomes more clear. Why I felt so different and why I struggled so much to adapt to school, and all of the disconnection that I had back then, like not understanding people, not being able to navigate life like everyone else did, like barbecues, parties, family gatherings. That was all so strange and wild to me, man. I mean, like, I felt like an extraterrestrial, really. And, well, religion played a big role in that too, a lot of religious traumas. And, well, to sum it all up, by the time I was 12 or 13, I was already depressed. And then I was admitted to therapy and psychiatry, for medication at the ages of 15. And well, at 15, I started therapy, talk therapy. And the medication started when I was 17. I struggled with suicidal ideation, it was pretty tough. And I was on and off meds. Like, Oh man, for many years, and all it did was really just numb me. You know, I was able to just handle life like it was bearable. However, I don't know. There's something wrong about just living life like just letting it be something bearable. You know, it's so sad. It doesn't fulfill anything. And although I am really thankful for all the therapy that I did, the medications really helped. You know, maybe I'm here because of them. You know, but they really never did improve my life quality. You know, it was all the same, all the struggle, all the repetitive self-talk, you know, the negative self-talk. I was very, very rigid. Um, and then, well, life went on. I went to college. I tried so hard to be a good Christian, you know, good Catholic. Um, and I followed life script, the default life script, you know, like study, get a work, um, maybe try and build a family of your own. You know, I got married, and it was quite uh, it was an unusual marriage because uh, it all happened very quick. You know, we got married quick, and then it was very we didn't really fit with each other, you know. I mean, my son's mother is a terrific person. She's a good person, and I'm really thankful for her. But we weren't meant to get married, man. I mean, this was not our path. And then, well, that was pretty much it. I was going through life following other people's script for myself. You know, it was never what I really wanted to do with my life.
Mm.
And then 3 years ago came the mushrooms.
And how did you first come into contact with them?
I don't know, man. Something told me like I felt that there was more to this life, and I wanted to see. I mean, I was becoming like disenchanted with life. You know, I wanted to see more. I wanted more magic in my life, a kind of sparkle that I didn't have so far. You know, I wasn't depressed. I was doing fine um, when I decided to try mushrooms, but I felt something was missing. Um, I was falling into some kind of disbelief in God and spirituality, and becoming more and more materialistic, too pragmatic, I would say. You know, too practical with everything in life, and I was missing something. And then I learned about the mushrooms, and I felt the call. Really, I said, "Man, I want to see what they have to show me." You know, and to my surprise, I tried them for the first time in June 2022, and it was a very transformative experience. I mean, man, it was like worth a decade of therapy. It's not an exaggeration. I mean, I'm not being dramatic. I've learned so much, and I don't know. It felt like I went to this special place, you know, somewhere I could really let myself come out, you know, and learn who I really was. I remember the first time that I tried it. I was alone in my room, and I arranged it with my then wife to for her to go somewhere else, and my son went with her. And I remember being alone, and it all started with this beautiful, beautiful feeling of love and belonging like to the universe. and this sweet embrace that was holding me, like I really felt God talk to me that day. And I don't know, man. I had a lot of strong visuals the first time that I did the mushrooms, and I believe that they allowed me to have so many visuals because they wanted me to stick
Mm.
around. They wanted me to come back later. And yeah, I know it sounds crazy, man, but I really consider mushrooms and ayahuasca to be living medicines. I really believe that. And well, the first time was really magical, and uh, I also had the struggles with the coming down phase. There were a lot of loops. I don't know if you experienced them
I know what you
before.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened in high doses, and the first time I tried, I had a really high dose for a
Mm.
beginner,
Hmm.
and I really wouldn't recommend beginners to do this. I mean, that was kind of irresponsible from my from me, uh, but it was just marvelous. And then, well, what happened is right after I did the mushrooms, I came back from the experience and I was feeling the afterglow. I was feeling very calm, very integrated, very loving towards myself and everyone around me. And then I had this really major family trauma. There was this situation that, Nick, I kid you not, man. I don't know if I were on classic drugs like SSRIs, for example, I wouldn't have been able to hold myself together back then. I had this huge blow. I really cannot go into deep details about what happened, but it was very traumatic. And I felt that the mushrooms, even though I took them before the traumatic event, there was this afterglow that made it possible for me to navigate, this terrible trauma. And then, of course, I went back to therapy because I needed to talk to someone. But instead of taking medicines, classic drugs like the SSRIs, benzodiazepines, I decided to stick with the psychedelics because I knew that I was not depressed. I was just going through a hard time. It's really different. People really should know the difference. I mean, there's grief, and then there's trauma, and then there is depression, which is something else. I was not depressed. I was just going through a difficult phase. And then for the last 3 years, I have been doing mushrooms, and then I started ayahuasca 6 months ago, which is something really interesting. It's a chapter of its own. Um, I kept doing mushrooms once a month. Uh, I had some breaks when I felt that I needed to integrate, with a larger interval. However, it was roughly once a month. So right now, I did 30 psychedelic experiments, and well, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. It's just wonderful.
Mm. So before we start talking about ayahuasca, which, as you said, is it's its own category of medicine, let's talk about mushrooms.
Yeah,
Did you have benefits? You mentioned that it was beneficial to you.
yeah, a lot of benefits. I mean, first of all, my depressive symptoms, they were just gone. I mean, even though I was stressed or dealing with a lot, I felt that I could push myself to go through the situation and just not, fall and give myself up and just, let the world, take care of me the way it would. Like I felt that I was able to react I felt more willpower, I would say. And it's funny because when I was going through this difficult phase in my life, uh, I felt like I was some kind of vehicle running with fuel, you know. And then I remember that I used to do the mushrooms like in a month, and then I would use this fuel, and then after a month, more or less, I would feel like, oh, yeah, I need to go back there and refill my tank, you know. And then I would do another session, and then I would feel just really well. And there was a time when things started getting easier for me, that I could space even more, you know. So it wasn't once a month. I spaced like 3 months, and then 6 months, and then the longer I stayed without the medicine was 9 months. And then I feel that I have this feeling like when it's the right time for me to do them.
Mhm.
So the improvement in depression was the most significant improvement in my life.
Since you have a little bit of familiarity with the classic medication that is prescribed for depression, in your opinion, what do you think? Like all these millions on antidepressants, what do you think that does to a society?
I don't know, man. I think that whenever people numb their feelings, and it's okay to numb them. You know, sometimes we need to numb the feelings because it's too much. We can't handle them. And then we got to preserve life. But then people should really be able to, um, with safety and care, they should be able to explore their
Mm.
consciousness. When I was on the classic medications, I was never able to really have a deep insight, you know. For example, the second time that I did mushrooms was a really high dose. It was a heroic dose. Um, I was alone in the living room, and then there was this the most beautiful moment, when I saw the universe wrapped in a bubble, and then I saw myself floating in the universe, and then there was this chain that was attached to me and my son. And I knew that this chain represented love, you know. And I saw this beautiful golden chain, you know, connecting me to my son. And then I said, oh, this is beautiful love. And then I just realized that the chain was going to my back, and it was connecting me to my father, man. And then I understood finally that the love that I felt for my son was the same love that my father felt for me. And I had so many traumas related to my father, and so many resentment. And then that night was the night that I healed it, you know. It was so beautiful, so magical for me. And you know, classic medications never do that, you know, even therapy. And then that night, I was able to really forgive my father and forgive myself and move on, you know. My relationship with my father was completely transformed after that day. And my father himself, he noticed it, and he said it before, you know, after my experience, he said, "You're different, man. I mean, I can feel somehow you're different with me. I don't know why, but thank you, you know." And it's pretty deep. It's deep work. I don't see medications like the classic medications. They never did it for me.
Mm.
They just made me able to function basically, like to work and study and to fulfill my obligations, you know. But nothing besides that.
It's amazing how these medicines can craft like you could say the perfect vision that you need to see to work with in your life.
Yeah, it's very insightful.
Um, and so you got a lot of mushrooms, and then you tell me how did you come to ayahuasca?
Yeah, so this is another fascinating chapter in this story, man. It was my 20th experiment with mushrooms. I was alone at home, and then I took my usual dose, and then well, I did the same things that I used to do, and well, put on the music and set the lights and everything all the way it used to be. And then right when it started, I saw myself like flying above a forest, a rainforest, like the Amazon. And then I came to this small opening in the jungle, and then I saw this fire burning, and there was a tribe dancing around the fire. And after the fire, there was this temple. It was like a pyramid made of jade. And then when I saw that, I was like, man, this is something else, you know. I I entered the temple, and then there was this huge fire burning inside the temple, and I was feeling the medicine talk to me, and then I knew back then that it was ayahuasca calling me. And then I did the whole mushroom experiment. It was very deep, very spiritual, you know. It was one of the times when I had experience with spirits, with mushrooms. You know, it doesn't happen so often to me. You know, on mushrooms. And then it was a very beautiful and peaceful experiment with mushrooms. But there was this calling from the medicine, and then, well, this information like kind of stuck to me. You know, I carried it with me. Like I thought, well, I'm gonna have to sort this thing out. I didn't know any shamanic center or any daime place for me to go, you know. And I said, well, the right opportunity is gonna come up. It's gonna show up when when it's the right time. And then, to my surprise, after another mushroom experiment, I got in touch with an acquaintance, and then he told me about this place, this shamanic center, and that is the one that I am going to right now. And he said, hey man, you should check these guys out. They're really good. And so I went. I went to the shamanic center. It's not a place of daime worship, you know. It's because here in Brazil, ayahuasca is legalized, but exclusively for religious purposes. And Daime is the religion that
Hmm.
started it all. And then there is also UDV that continued. And now we have the independent shamanic centers. And then this one is independent. And I went there, and well, right now I feel that currently my work, the work that I need to continue doing with psychedelics and the expansion of my consciousness, it is with ayahuasca and plant medicines. I felt that the mushrooms were a first step, and then now I have to carry on working with ayahuasca. It's much deeper, and it's different from mushrooms.
Mm.
It reaches places that mushrooms don't reach.
Um, you mentioned Daime, and you said Daime started it all. Can you say a little bit about that?
I need to correct myself. Actually, Daime didn't start it all. Daime spread ayahuasca from the tribes to the general population. Because before Daime, ayahuasca was really restricted to the indigenous people in the Amazon forest. And there was Master Irineu, who was the founder of Daime. He was the man who made it possible for ayahuasca to become known in Brazil, in the rest of the country. Well, he started the whole movement, the whole religious phenomenon that he began. But UDV came later on, and UDV made it possible for ayahuasca to be legalized. If it was not for those guys, maybe ayahuasca would be illegal here in Brazil. But thank God they were here. And something that is interesting, ayahuasca was legalized when we were in a dictatorship here in Brazil, and we were under the military regime here. And it was back then that the guys from the government started studying and trying to understand what ayahuasca was all about, and they allowed it to uh, to be used in ceremonies.
Can I ask you, what do people generally think about ayahuasca in Brazil?
So there is a lot of prejudice. Even though it's legalized, a lot of people still regard it as some kind of drug. Uh, Maybe it's for the hippies and some lunatics. It's really sad because a lot of people who go to ayahuasca centers, they just have to hide it. You know, I talk about it openly, to be frank, because it's very transformative. And I don't know. I mean, it's a tool. It's a medicine. It's a tool. It's available for the ones who feel the call. And if there isn't anything that is prohibiting, like a medical condition, then people should be able to access it. I mean, even children do it here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's complicated. I mean, Brazil is it's a very strong Christian country. We're split between Catholics and Christian evangelicals. And uh, they can be very inflexible about this. They really don't see it as something good. But well, it's a pity. I mean, it's going to take some time for this culture to change. But maybe it's for the best. I don't know.
Um, why did you why did you say that your current work is with ayahuasca? How do you know, and how is it different from your mushroom experiences?
So I love mushrooms, really. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually did a session with mushrooms just this month. So I still work with mushrooms. However, ayahuasca brings everything to the body. The mushroom usually it's very mental. It's mental work, and we live in a world where we spend too much time working with ideas. I mean, we have smartphones, we have the internet, we have the TV and books and ideas and debates going on all around, and so little comes to the body. Uh, I really believe that the purge, all of this, the physical challenge of the ayahuasca, it's important. I think it's the it's what makes it different. It's one thing to have an idea, and then it's another thing to feel the idea in your body, man. I mean, all of your body talking to you, it's magical.
Mm. Yeah, I can definitely feel that at the end of a good ayahuasca purge, you really have to like use your force in your body.
Yes.
What is for people who aren't aware of it? What is purge? What does that mean?
Well, the purge, people usually think about ayahuasca as just, well, you're gonna vomit and maybe you're gonna, trash your pants, but it's not just that. I mean, the purge can happen in many ways. You may cry, you may sigh, you may uh, shake your body, you may uh, go to the bathroom to, to pee, or uh, maybe go for number two. It happens too. And there is the vomiting. It's very common, and they are all ways of your body, of the medicine, to let your body expel something that has to be expelled. Maybe it's tension, trauma, heavy energy. uh, it can be a lot of things, and the purge is very important. We should not resist the purge. I mean, it doesn't work. You can only resist so far. You have to deal with it.
I was thinking about a story that you told me in that how the purge doesn't seem to work based off of like normal laws of materialism, I guess, as you would think. Like it's not the way people think. It's not what you think. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so yes, there was this. It was my third, no, it was my fourth ceremony, and it was a very beautiful one. It was a very intimate ceremony. There were only four people. It was the facilitators, the shamans, and me and another guy. And well, we took our dose, and then we sat down to meditate and to let the medicine do its work. And then something very serious came to me when the force of ayahuasca started working. And then I tried to push it away. I said, "Oh man, Aya, please don't do this to me. Not now. I really don't need to talk about this now. I don't want to talk about this." And then I felt the medicine, like tug on my shirt again and say, "Hey, man, you should really consider talking about this. You're messing up." And then I tried to resist again, and I said, "No, see, I really don't want to talk about this. This is not good." And then there was this third time that the medicine asked me to really think about what she was showing me. And then, well, it started to get ugly, very ugly. It was the darkest moment I ever had in ceremony. And then I started crying, and I felt this huge wave of energy, and there was this heavy material sinking in my stomach, and I had to deal with it. And then I was sitting, I took my bucket, and then I started doing my purge. It was very intense, very violent. And then, well, basically, I filled the whole bucket. It was a 2 liters bucket. It was full. And then having in mind that I was fasting for 7 hours, so I didn't have anything on my stomach. So that was very wild. I mean, I don't know what it is that I was purging. It wasn't something that I ate. And then they changed my bucket, and one of the shamans, he was he was seeing all the process that I was going through, and then he realized that I wasn't being able to purge everything. So he sat by my side, and he started channeling an entity. And well, how do I know this? It's because when he touched he was beside me, and then he touched my chest. And then when he did it, I saw this, huge Indian chief, and he started praying in another language. in an indigenous language that I don't understand. And then I saw this Indian chief, uh, like uh, he was pulling this dark root from my chest. And then I purged even more, and there was more vomiting, more sweating, and it was pretty heavy, man. And then he finished his prayer and he went to his place, and then he started purging,
Mm.
like as helping me do the purge. I was on my side and he was on his side, and we were purging the same thing. He actually, it's like he pulled something from me and he said, "Hey, hold up, I'm gonna help you." And then he went to his place and he purged. And it was very beautiful, very amazing. I mean, magical moment. And to be frank, it was an act of love because it was very heavy, man. I mean, the facilitator, he had a hard time purging. You know, it wasn't easy for him. And when the ceremony ended, I I had I had like emptied like 3 buckets basically, so 5 to 6 liters, and I was fasting. I mean, pretty awesome, amazing.
Um, can you give advice for somebody who is afraid of the experience, afraid of purging? I mean, can you purge well?
So yes, of course. I mean, first of all, I mean, the first thing, you really need to find a reliable center. You know, you need to have good references. You know, and I would advise people to go look for something simple. I see online a lot of people searching for fancy retreats, luxurious places, or on the other side, people who want to go to the forest and be with the tribes and suffer and all be eaten by mosquitoes and have all this rough experience. It doesn't have to be either way. Like either 5-star hotel or you know. Deep in the jungle, suffering with uh, you know the jaguars around them. You don't need this. Uh, Go somewhere simple with reliable people. Good references, and I mean just prepare well too. Like eat natural food, avoid gluten, avoid dairy, avoid processed stuff like snacks, anything that comes in a packaging, like the Cheetos, the Doritos. Just stop that. Stop that crap, man. I mean, it's not gonna work. It's really bad for you, and the purge is gonna be really hard on you if you eat that stuff. So keep your diet natural. You don't need to go full vegetarian. Just eat real food and go with an open heart. I mean, the medicine. It's gonna sound crazy, but usually what I see in myself and with other people, the medicine starts gentle. I don't know why. Uh, it really feels like she's trying to really make you stick around. Like she's gentle in the beginning, and there is this whole feeling of love and the embrace and the feeling of wholesomeness. Um, it's just pure bliss in the beginning. However, as you go deeper and deeper, and then the work becomes more dense. You're going to be more seasoned, and then the medicine itself is going to show you more things. So it's very progressive. You really, it's like one step at a time. The purge is not so difficult. I had some, there's something interesting about the purge. I was really afraid of purging, really. I mean, I used to hate throwing up. And then I realized that, being afraid to let go, being afraid to purge, has some connection with our attachment to traumas. It's difficult for us to let the bad things go out. Whenever we feel pain, we usually we feel tense. We our shoulders become hard, and our backs stiffen. And we tend to hold everything together. We become like we shrink, and then we hold it all in. And when you learn to purge calmly, you see that some stuff don't belong to you, you know and then you just let whatever is not yours go. I mean, all the trauma, all the rejection, all the pain of the past. I mean, it's your history, but it's not yours. So you just let whatever you have to go. It's just better. And when you learn to purge, you learn to let go of everything that doesn't belong to you. It's beautiful.
Hmm. I definitely resonate. A lot of people talk about integration these days. In Europe, what's your definition of integration and has it helped you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's only point in working with psychedelics if you can integrate, you know, because if there was no integration, it would be like getting a recipe book and not cooking.
Hmm.
So you really should integrate, and there are many many ways of doing this. Um, I like to write every experience that I have. I have a very long journal, and when I come from my experiences, I just sit down, not right before, not right after, but I take some days off and then rethink and process everything, and then I just sit down and write everything that I had in my mind, how I felt and what I saw and what was told to me, and it really helps. I mean, the lessons stick with me when I do this. Because if I didn't do this, it would be just the fireworks of the experiments. I would just be seeing all these beautiful colors and feeling good, which is part of the experience. But it's not just that. I mean, we need to grow.
What do you think some ways that these medicines could affect society are?
Uh, I guess that if it's well used, people would be more real. For example, um, I I really I feel that I cannot deal with people pleasing anymore. You know, like this has something to do with my autism too. Because I always planned my social interactions. I would always rehearse everything that I would talk. And maybe hide parts of myself whenever I felt insecure, and I just stopped doing this. I mean, after the medicines, I really have no time to be anyone else but myself. I would say, and the world needs this, man. I mean, uh, people need to be free. I mean, uh, there's so much beauty out there, and we're really like we're stuck to these patterns of behavior. We repeat all of the bad behavior from previous generations. And I really believe that psychedelics can help shape a better world. Like maybe worry less about status, worry less about consumerism, connect to nature. Psychedelics can be a very beautiful connection to nature. Not only psychedelics, man. Another, I've been working with some other medicines too, which are rapé. It's a very strong and very beautiful medicine too, and it's been really crucial in my experience. It's been bringing me to the uh, like the psychedelics. They take you to an astral plane, you know, like too much thoughts and too much wonder, you know. And rapé is very good for bringing whatever lessons you learn in you know with ayahuasca or mushrooms. Rapé really helps you integrate it more, you know. But well, that's something you should be careful about. Rapé can be abused.
Yeah.
It's tobacco with other plants. You know, it's snuff. But well, it's a whole other podcast, I would say.
You ever have a good hit?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, you ever have a good hit of hape in during a ceremony and it just makes it all come out?
Oh man, always. I mean, Ape is very strong. We have very strong man. Yeah, we usually do. We start the ceremony with ayahuasca. We do one dose, and then there is sananga too. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
sananga.
yeah.
It's an eye drop. It's very good for trauma. It's very good for healing trauma. And then there is the second cup of ayahuasca, and in the end there is rapé. And all of these medicines they work together beautifully. They sync very well.
These medicines have just opened up my life and changed me, and I mean, it's worth more than money. Being able to speak about it is worth more than money to me because it's my authenticity. So,
Yeah, it's
mm,
beautiful. It's beautiful. And I really hope that, you know, the word spreads
mm.
out. I mean, there are so many people hurting and so many people locked up inside themselves, like with a really small life. And I feel, honestly, man, with all my heart, that the plant medicines, they can really make your life bigger, you know. I mean, since I started working with ayahuasca, I noticed that my life has become broader and I have more friends. I have a community for the first time in my life. And this is medicine too, you know. A community is medicine. You heal from all the rejection you had in your life before, and you heal from your insecurities, your inadequacies, you know. It's something that works so deeply, and it's all thanks to the plant medicines. So I really am thankful so much. I mean, my life completely changed after it,
Are you,
honestly.
and are you going to continue to use plant medicines?
Yeah, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I mean, maybe there is a time, I don't know, that I feel that I learned everything that I had to learn with them. But the love that I feel for them is just so much. I mean, I have to go back every month. I go every month, and it's always
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's amazing how it's always a different experience and there's always something to learn.
Yes.
And it's like just for you. How does it know?
Yeah.
It's just for you. It's like what you need to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's really beautiful because uh, everyone that goes in the ceremony, they do their own work. And it's very interesting, you know, like we have the mattresses that go around the fire, and really each one is doing their own work and nobody's interfering with anyone, and everyone just goes out feeling different, and they heal something. It's amazing. And I mean, uh, it's really they have a saying here. I don't know if there is scientific accuracy with this, but people say here that ayahuasca scans your body and delivers whatever it is that you need. And I don't know, I suspect that there's some truth to that.
Mm.
It's really um, indigenous
Mm.
technology. I don't know.
It
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it sure feels like that. I've had experiences of I could feel it like in my body going up and down.
Yes,
Um,
it's a very deep work.
Often it's said in ceremony that you want to keep to yourself, and you mentioned that everyone has their own personal work. Why do they suggest that you should keep to yourself?
Um, it's good for your protection, like uh, it's because it's interesting because everyone has their own drama, and maybe you have seen this before. Everyone has this kind of conversation once in their life, like when we are sharing something painful about our lives, and then someone just dismisses it, like say, "Oh, come on, man, you're complaining, but hey, have a look. So many people suffering with deadly diseases, starvation, and war. You're blessed. Please don't, just look at it another way." And then this devalues the experience. Your experience is holy and important for you. It doesn't depend on whatever anyone else thinks about it. It's yours. It's something integral to you. I mean, so just honor it. You may share with just you know the most important people, the ones that you really rely on, but then it's a good idea to keep it to yourself.
Mm. Um, I can definitely resonate with that. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate connecting with you. There's I don't know that many people like my friends. None of my friends drink ayahuasca, so it's like it's great to connect with somebody who kind of who understands or is on the same wavelength. Because if I mean, you can
Yeah.
think that like for years, I mean, I have ayahuasca has been medically beneficial to me, and there's no question about it because it's like I don't know, it's the science of it, and if I was never able to talk to anybody about it, I'd feel like maybe it's all in my head or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, tell me about the medical benefits that you had with
I
ayahuasca.
had a brainstem hemorrhage and stroke, and I forgot how to walk. And then I
Oh,
relearned how to walk without medicine, but there was still deficits. It wasn't perfect. I would like kind of limp. It wasn't like
yeah.
really smooth. And
Hmm.
so I had done like thousands of hours of physio to relearn how to walk. And then when I relearned how to walk, I went to Ecuador and tried the medicine for the first time, ayahuasca, and it helped me get better. It helped me walk better. Like it was like I was on a plateau, and that helped me break through. And I see it as, I mean, if there was some nerve damage in my head and I wasn't able to walk the best or very smoothly, I see it as like it was helping update my system, my model of reality that told me where to put my feet, and it helped me update that to be more up to up to date, for lack of a better term. And so that's the main
Wow.
thing that got me interested in it. But there's a lot of other benefits that I've received. Like, I mean, just the idea of having regular ceremonies, I would say it's really great for anyone who's struggling with addictions, because you know that you don't want to put too much stuff in your body if you have a ceremony coming up next month. So for me, that's really helped me get back on track. And I've had times where I've
Yeah.
struggled with addiction. So I'm really happy to have it in my life because I know I'm going to have it forever. And there's a lot of people out there who are stuck in their addiction or whatever. and they don't know that there's a way out. But there's a way out,
Yeah.
and it can sound too good to be true. Some of these stories are just so fantastical, but
Man, that's amazing. I mean, the stuff about you getting back to walk normally after ayahuasca, that's amazing. I mean, really amazing. And what you said about addictions, it's very real. I forgot to mention, I suffered with binge eating. And before I started taking ayahuasca, I was weighing um, 105 kilos, more or less. So it's more than 200 pounds for those who use this system. um, and then after I started working with the medicine, I lost um, 17
mm,
kilos because I completely changed my relationship with food. And I stopped using alcohol because I used to use alcohol to numb myself to, you know. Even using mushrooms, I would still drink my beer, you know, my weekly beer. So I used to have like at least a six pack of beer every week during the weekends, you know. And then there was this compound effect. I was getting fat. I was actually obese, and I had a fatty liver, you know, and I was on stage two steatosis, you know. So I was on my path to liver damage, you know, permanent liver damage. And in just 6 months of working with ayahuasca, my fatty liver is completely healed. I mean, there's no liver fat anymore. And then the doctor, he was surprised, and he asked me, "Hey man, what is it that you're doing?" I mean, because whatever it is that you're doing, it was supposed to take like 1 year for me to recover, and then I recovered in 6 months or less, you know. And then I shared that I was working with ayahuasca, and he was very
mm,
surprised.
mm.
But of course, there was the whole uh, work of, you know, re-educating my body to eat correctly again, you know. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's very beneficial.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so many stories about it, and it's like I feel like people don't realize that and this is my opinion that it's a tool and that you can accomplish
Yeah,
a lot of different things. That's why it's so diverse. Would you agree? Would you agree with
yeah,
that?
yeah. You said it right. I guess it's a tool, and you can use it right, and you can use it wrong too. You know, because there are people who abuse it. I mean, ayahuasca is not for fun. I see people online like asking, um, you know, man, I know the Portuguese word for this, but I forgot the English word for this. They ask like, what's the high of
Mm.
ayahuasca like? You know, like something comparable to cannabis or alcohol or something else, you know. And then whenever someone asks me something like this, I said, hey, come on, man, there's no high in ayahuasca. You don't get high on ayahuasca. It's expansion, it's something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like for people who don't understand or have never tried it, that's they don't know what to say other than high.
Yeah,
Mhm. Eh,
yeah, because, you know, it's something interesting. I mean, here in Brazil, we have a lot of taboo with mind altering substances. It's like it's something really, you know, yeah, it's taboo, you know, it's ugly, it's sinful, it's something that you should hide, you know. And people really fear altering their minds. I don't know if it's so strong up there where you live.
that's a good question. I would agree. I would agree with you. In general, people just want to, go to work, maybe have a family, have a beer on the weekend, and not get involved with anything too intense. And all of this work is
Yeah,
probably they're probably afraid to do a lot of this work because of the stories that you hear.
yeah. Don't you think that it's perhaps related to the fear of losing control?
I do. Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. That's a part of it. Was that a fear that you had when you first started taking medicine?
No, I never had this fear. I mean, there were times when I thought that I was going crazy. I mean, there was one mushroom ceremony that I did at home. Man, that I thought that I had fractured my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I said, "Oh man, I broke my brain for real now." I mean, I'm going crazy. But it was a very insightful experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the bad trips, they do have their purpose, you know. But now I learned to let go of control. I mean, control is overrated.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not going to work with ayahuasca. There's some people that just there's people that just don't know that if you take ayahuasca, it's not going to work if you're trying to control the experience.
No,
Uh,
I mean, yeah, definitely not. I mean, you can be helped, you know. And there were moments when I really needed help. I mean, some really heavy moments. And then you can be redirected, you know, but you cannot really control. I mean, you yourself, it's very difficult. You need to work through whatever it is that appears, you know. So yeah,
Amazing, amazing. Well,
yeah,
it's really
good
cool
man.
to connect with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it like
Yeah,
more than ever. It's so meaningful to me.
me too, man. Thanks a lot.